Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros MLB. This is the waiver wire for the week. It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia. With me, of course, is my boy, the Welsh, and it's all of you hanging out here trying to add players to our rosters this week in Major League Baseball. So fantasy baseball is kicking off, and sometimes that first waiver wire period can be a little strange. You know, you're not sure, is this for real? It's a 3-game sample size. Now we have twice that. We have a little bit more to go off of, and we're going to kick things off today with a guy at a position that's pretty shallow right now in terms of talent. It's Otto Lopez of the Miami Marlins. Now, Lopez is a guy that it's bounced around from the Toronto organization to the San Francisco Giants, and eventually he's landed in Miami. And a career 300 hitter in the minor leagues, off to a really good start here with the Marlins so far, hitting 340 as of recording this video with a 406 on base percentage, 2 homers for him. Now, power is not his strong suit, Welsh. I think we can all agree on that, but certainly off to a good start. So Otto Lopez currently is rostered in about 54% of leagues. Do you think he's a guy worth picking up this week?
So, and the 50 is around the CBS number. If you look at combined like Yahoo and ESPN, those are going to probably be lower, even into the 30s. So this is a really good name, very popular name to talk about. One of the reasons that make him so interesting is the prominent spot that he's hitting in the lineup. You know, we've made a lot about Andres Gimenez is cleaning up for the Blue Jays. We're seeing a big uptick in that. Otto Lopez hitting, whether it's 3 or 4, for this Marlins team is good surface level, but obviously offensively, the pieces around him put in a little bit of a question. But I do think he pushes the line for a little bit deeper leagues. I don't think 10-team, you're really looking at Otto Lopez unless you suffered some big middle infield injuries. I think 12 to 15, you're starting to look at it. One of the things you really like is obviously short sample size, you're seeing him barrel a lot. He doesn't usually, but it's 15% barrel. That's fantastic. 12% barrel plate appearance rate, but he doesn't strike out and he walks. He's walking around 10% of the time. He's striking out less than 10% of the time, but I don't know how big impactful the bat is going to be. Like you said, it's an under 2-degree launch angle. So he doesn't get the ball in the air, but he's going to get some hits. He's probably going to score some runs. The stolen bases would be interesting. I think he's a middle infield option that is decent to speculate on, but it's not worth dropping any of these guys that are struggling. Right. Everybody is freaking out. Hey, should I drop Tolia? Should I drop Mason Wynn? I'll take Mason Wynn still long-term over Otto Lopez, but if you got some big injuries and everything is struggling, Otto Lopez is a really good pickup right now. The lineup I don't trust. I don't trust his bat into becoming, if you think he's going to be like a 15 homer, 20 stolen base, blah, blah. No, I don't think so. I think it's going to be single-digit counting stats.
I think that's right. He's worth a couple bucks if you're struggling in that spot and riding that hot wave. Other than that, let's not go overboard here with Otto Lopez. Yeah. I think he helps in head-to-head roto category leagues because of batting average, the contact skills, and because of the stolen bases. So in that format specifically, or in points leagues too, because he does make contact, he's getting on base. That's very positive. Also getting on base, one of our favorite post-hype sleepers coming into the year. He's just 23 years old, if you can believe it, but it feels like we've been talking about Jordan Walker forever. He is available in 50% of leagues still. And again, we're using the CBS numbers because those are the numbers where people are paying for leagues. They're a much better gauge, so he's probably available in a lot more leagues than that. Probably available in more like 60 or even 70% of leagues, depending on where you play. Jordan Walker, so far, as of recording this, hitting 389, a 500 OBP, a 556 slugging, and an OPS over 1,000. Again, it's only 5 games, but a very encouraging 5 games for a guy that has a lot of talent. We've been waiting for him to break out. This is an unsustainable pace, but certainly a really good start. Now, he's available in 50% of leagues. How aggressive are you going to be with him in terms of free agency budget for Jordan Walker?
So I am. I had him as one of my breakouts for the year, and then he stepped on the sprinkler, and it was a bad spring, and just kind of backed off of it. I still got multiple shares of him. We saw early in the season him hitting kind of lower in the lineup, but everything looks really good right now. He's hitting the ball really hard consistently. He's getting the ball up in the air more than we've seen. His expected batting average is over 270, and he's not striking out. Shortened his swing in the offseason. These are all the things we wanted. He's going to move up the lineup more. I'm not sure any of these guys that we're talking about are FAAB busters. These are guys that are going to be, they're going to change the world. But I would be more aggressive probably on Walker from a long-term perspective than I would of Otto Lopez. I would spend a couple bucks. I would make sure I try to get him. He could be a phenomenal fifth outfielder from an RPV perspective, Joe. He really could have that big return. So I think I don't want to spend $1 or $2. I'd probably 3 or 4, just try to make sure if someone's trying to slide him through, because I think as this season goes on, if they end up moving Arenado, Walker is going to be a guy that I wouldn't be shocked if he's hitting 4 for this team. So I really like Jordan Walker's underlining skill set, and the changes he made in the offseason seem to start to come out in these early games, and hopefully it continues on to the season.
I think you might have to be more aggressive than that to get him. I think you have to go into that 8, 9, 10 range, to be honest, with your FAAB if you got $100 to
Maybe.
spend. I don't think you're going to get him for $4 or $5. I just don't, because you're in the beginning of the window here. When you start sorting stats of free agents, he's going to be at the top of everything in your league. And then on top of that, he is a, prospecty kind of guy, and everybody's got all their money still. So to me, if you want him, you might have to press double digits to get him.
I think there is another Cardinals outfielder we're going to talk about here that might get a little bit more push from the category that they have. And I think there are some people that there are so many prospects that are dominating right now at lower levels. People might be saving some money up for when Roman Anthony or Nick Kurtz or Bubba Chandler come up. But you might be right.
Look, as a caveat, add those guys for $1 or $2 now and stash them if you have the opportunity. But we have a bunch of Cardinals today, including, they were an undervalued team with a lot of question marks. And Victor Scott, off to a good start, showing a little power, showing some speed. Now, he's rostered in 66% of leagues, so not as widely available, but another guy with the skill set that can really help you.
I love Victor Scott. That's why I think people might be more aggressive with him, because of the stolen bases. He's got the gig. He's not striking out. He is barreling up the ball, though it's not of crazy contact. He's getting the ball in the air more, which we've already seen the homer there. I'm a buy-in on Victor Scott. If he plays the entire season, don't be shocked when he steals 40, maybe 50 bases. So I think that's why people might be more hyper-aggressive. I absolutely want him on my team if I'm chasing any type of stolen bases. If I'm in a points league, Walker's probably more interesting, but Victor Scott, really love him.
Next up, and the last Cardinal I promise we're going to talk about, Ivan Herrera, who had a huge day on Wednesday. 3 bombs. Now, Ivan Herrera, if you've been watching the shows, my favorite sleeper catcher of the year. I wrote about him. I talked about him till you just couldn't be more sick of him. I don't expect him to be a ridiculous power hitter this year. I expect him to be a good contact hitter, hit for a good average, have some pop, maybe a 15 home run guy, but this was a great breakout game. And if you're struggling at catcher, another player that is still available right now in almost 50% of leagues. He's rostered number 56 currently. Ivan Herrera, a great week. There's no doubt about it. A great game. I don't want to overpay, but I will make a move if I have to at catcher. If my catchers are not performing right now in a single catcher league and Herrera's on the waiver wire, I will absolutely ride the wave and maybe hope that this Cardinals team collectively might be a little bit better than we realized.
He's locking into everything that we saw from that underlying perspective. He's going to be in those prime spots as far as like the lineup goes. And, if you got a bunch of guys that are getting on base in front, you love. The only weird question is like, your guy was Ivan Herrera. My guy was Austin Wells. Both of these guys are like having really good starts, but who do they take over? Like, where are we at the level where we drop Shea Langoliers for Herrera? Maybe, but I don't know if they're jumping O'Hoppe. So I think they are borderline like top 12 startable catchers in leagues. Herrera and Wells should both be guys that you look and you pick up. It's just I'm not dropping Yanni or Diaz for either one of those guys quite yet. But obviously Herrera's in a great spot.
Let's get some arms, and I know we'd like to have more of them, but a lot of the arms right now, Chris Bubich is rostered in 70% of leagues, so he's not available widely. But if he is, pick him up. Brady Singer, another guy, too, who is on my list of sleeper pitchers. If he's still available, pick him up. Again, 70% of leagues, so he might have snuck out there on the waiver wire still after a really good start to the season. But a guy that's out there in a lot more formats, 60% rostered, Casey Mize of the Detroit Tigers. Now, Mize is a starting pitcher we've been waiting on for a very long time. First start, very encouraging. 5 2/3, 1 hit. He walked 3 guys, but he had 6 strikeouts in that start. The spring numbers were pretty decent as well for him. If you go back and look, 25 strikeouts in 19 innings. Just walked 8 guys. The whip was at 1, a 1.89 ERA during the spring. So Casey Mize might finally, again, we've waited a long time for him. He's 28 years old. Maybe, just maybe, we're getting the Mize that we've been promised from the scouts from all those many years ago. How aggressive are you this week picking up Casey Mize to see if he has truly turned that corner and if he's ready to be a frontline starter for the Tigers?
I am pretty aggressive. I'm very, very pro Casey Mize right now, even though, it is interesting. Fastball downtick. He's throwing it about a mile to a mile and a half slower than he had in previous years, which it got hit. I mean, it put like some 95 average EV against as far as contact goes, but he's throwing it for strikes, and he was getting some whiffs off of it. And he altered his pitch mix a little bit because he was going heavy slider last year. He's now going more slurvy, which is 2 miles an hour slower, got more whiffs, and it set up the split finger to be a dominant pitch, which is a strikeout pitch, 71% in the first start. I'm very encouraged by Casey Mize. Pitch shapes are very different too. It's like the splitter is a little bit off from the fastball as far as how it breaks. The slurve is a big loopy type of pitch. I think what we're seeing early on with Casey Mize with the big strikeouts could continue to be more than just a streamer. So I want to pick up Casey Mize over a lot of the guys we just talked about. I kind of think I might want him over Bubic or Singer, or, we don't have Jack Leiter on this list. Like, he's the guy that I'm really, really interested in moving forward. We'll have to see. It's only one start, but I'm kind of buying in.
Yeah, Jack Leiter, another one too. You have to pay attention to what's going on with that blister issue too, because that's something that he came out with the other day, and we've seen guys sometimes even go on the IL, really struggle with those. So he is rostered in 71% of leagues already, but if people drop him because of the blister or whatever might happen, if he's still somehow available, check him out there as well. 2 closers to talk about before we move on today, or at least one closer for sure, and maybe the new closer. Luke Jackson, Texas Rangers, rostered in 46% of leagues, and Dennis Santana of the Pittsburgh Pirates, 19% rostered. So you're looking at 2 guys on the waiver wire. You're looking for saves. How do you approach these 2 guys, and who is the bigger priority for you?
Man, this is so tough because Luke Jackson's on the team that you want. You want the closer for the Rangers. There's no doubt about it. My heart of hearts says Luke Jackson does not keep this job this season. He has not really been good to start off. He's giving up a bunch of contact, bunch of barrels. He has an 8 ERA, his expected ERA is over 6. I just don't think he's that great, and they don't seem committed to going to Chris Martin. I don't know if they're going to rotational the whole season, but he's the better team. Dennis Santana, pretty good stuff. Like the save opportunity. It was relatively clean. Bednar, they've pushed down. I tend to think the stuff is better with Santana, but the opportunity is better with Luke Jackson. I probably would prioritize Luke Jackson right now. Bednar still could get things worked out, come back and get his job back. Santana might be a good source of saves. I think both of these guys are great pickups right now, but if I had a choice, I'd go with Luke Jackson begrudgingly. But I don't know if in, let's say, July, either one of these guys are saving games anymore, and that's a little bit my concern.
Download Fantasy Pros My Playbook for MLB wherever you get your apps, or go to fantasypros.com/MLB My Playbook and sync your leagues for free so you can see who's available in all of your leagues, and also set your lineups from just one app, no matter how many leagues you got in all these different places. And of course, if you need more waiver wire help, go to fantasypros.com, click on MLB, and look for more. We've got articles, we've got trackers, we've got everything. And of course, drop your comments below. Who is your number 1 waiver priority of the week? That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For the Welsh, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids. Subscribe to Fantasy Pros MLB.